Well, thank you and good morning and welcome to the 55th Annual Kentucky Farm Bureau Ham Breakfast. You know, you can always count on eating well at the Kentucky Farm Bureau Ham Breakfast. And I'd like to not only thank the servers, but also the farmers that grew the food for us to enjoy this morning. So I have a round of applause for not only our servers, but those who grew our food this morning. You know, Mayor Fisher, you've been a strong supporter of the local food movement. And as a farm kid that grew up in rural Scott County on a tobacco and cattle farm, it turns out our family was a little bit ahead of the time. Because if you were to ask our neighbors about how badly our fences have been over the years, it turns out we've been raising free-range cattle this entire time when I was growing up. I would also like, speaking of country ham, we have a ham winner today at the head table. And please join me in saying congratulations to Ronnie and Beth Drennan from Broadbent B&B Foods, the 12th time they've won the Grand Championship ham here at the State Fair. And here in a few moments, Miss Kentucky 2018, Miss Katie Bouchard will be serving, who serves as the official spokesperson for Kentucky Proud, will be displaying the ham. Let's say thank you to Miss Kentucky. And of course, I would also like to thank Kentucky Farm Bureau, the voice of Kentucky agriculture. You know, not a day goes by where the Kentucky Department of Ag and Kentucky Farm Bureau doesn't work hand in glove for what's best for our farm community. So I want to say thank you to Mr. Haney, Eddie, and Fritz, as well as all the county farm bureaus out there for what you do from the grass level up. And as you know by now, Kentucky Farm Bureau just named a new executive vice president with Drew Graham. I look forward to working with you. You're no stranger to Kentucky agriculture, and you give me hope for what this gray hair can look like one day. So thank you so much, and congratulations. On behalf of the Kentucky Department of Agriculture, I'd like to welcome you to the 114th Kentucky State Fair. 3 key groups put on this tradition each and every year: the Kentucky Department of Agriculture, the Cooperative Extension Service, and the hardworking staff here at the Expo Center. If you are a member of those 3 core groups, would you please stand to be recognized so we can say thank you for putting on yet another successful Kentucky State Fair. Thank you so much. You know, we couldn't do this without you. The fair is all about tradition. As people who brim with pride for our state, each year Kentuckians from all backgrounds have an opportunity to embrace something that unites us rather than divides us. And every day Kentucky agriculture does just that. It brings together people from all walks of life, from various political parties, to help celebrate what we do best, and that's grow food and raise livestock. And of course, we're fortunate this year to have a true friend of agriculture and a new CEO of Kentucky Venues, Mr. David Beck. David came to us from Kentucky Farm Bureau. He's been a mentor of mine over the years, and he and his team are focused on providing a great fair experience. Attendance is up and revenue appears to be on track to be breaking last year. So thank you for your help and your new position here at Kentucky Venues. Thank you, David. And speaking of this facility, I also want to say a personal thank you to the Kentucky General Assembly and Kentucky Ag Development Board for putting some money into this facility to help renovate it in the coming years. There are changes coming, and we're going to be able to attract bigger and better opportunities in the years to come. You know, we're also blessed to have a pro-agriculture fair board as well. Nowhere is that more evident with the brand new exhibit area just across the hallway in the south wing called Ag Land. For the first time ever, we moved a lot of the ag exhibits that are on the other side of the facility over to the south wing. 2 acres of exhibits that celebrate what's best about Kentucky agriculture. Be sure to check it out. It's an amazing display, and maybe you'll even learn the difference between a soybean and a green bean while you're over there. Be sure to check out the 1935 Alice Chalmers tractor that I own, sitting right in the middle of it. And yes, it is for sale. No credit, no problem. I'll put you in the seat of it today. I would also like to thank our interim Fair Board CEO, Don Parkinson, in the crowd today. Thank you for carrying the torch. We appreciate that. And Union Secretary Landrum, as well as Dr. Mark Lynn, our chairman, and all the Fair Board members for putting on yet another great Kentucky State Fair. Thank you for your leadership. I would also like to thank Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and our congressional members and the audience here today for being such strong supporters for the Kentucky farmer. You know, there's a great chance that industrial hemp will be legalized in this year's Farm Bill. It's time to unleash the economic power of this crop, and thank you for your all's help in Washington, D.C. Thank you so much. You know, growing up as a farm kid from rural Kentucky, I always counted down the days to the Kentucky State Fair for two main reasons. Number one, I got to compete in the state tractor driving competition. And number two, more importantly, I got out of working in tobacco for a couple days. But it was here when I first met Commissioner of Agriculture Billy Ray Smith. It was one of my first memories of a commissioner passing out awards, supporting our 4-H and FFA youth. And that's something that I enjoy the most about being ag commissioner, supporting the future of Kentucky agriculture. And we talked a lot about unity this morning, how food brings us together. And just think about that. Just think about it for 1 second. The availability of food is one of the essential elements of civil society. In America, with the exception of the Great Depression, our country has never really suffered through a period of starvation. Sometimes we take affordable food for granted, and we can't simply imagine a society of food insecurity. Because of the farmers in this room, the United States has the safest, most abundant food supply system in the world, and Americans spend only 6% of their income on food, far less than any other country on the face of this globe. However, when food shortages do occur, the rules of society simply break down. Chaos breaks out, and the laws-based system that we pride ourselves on here in America simply cease to exist. Whether it be Mao's China, Stalin's Russia, or even right now in Venezuela, disturbing and sad stories continue to occur because of a lack of food in society, something we simply cannot imagine. In short, if not for the Kentucky farmer, the rest of society could not function, and we owed a great debt of gratitude to those who produce our food and allowing the rest of society to specialize. Chances are, if not for the farmers in this room, you probably would not have the job you have today. So let's give a warm round of applause for the farmers here that allow the rest of society to function. Thank you for what you do. You know, that's just one of many reasons why agriculture is so important. Many people in this room help produce what we eat and the fiber that we wear that allows society to flourish, allows companies to do business, and allows students to go to school and learn. Simply stated, without Kentucky agriculture, we would all be naked and afraid. And in Kentucky, we have a great story to tell to our friends around the world. So let me ask you this. What comes to mind when you think of Idaho? Potatoes, right? Florida, orange juice. Kentucky, we're fortunate. We're already known around the world internationally for bourbon, an agriculture product, for horses, an agriculture product, and Colonel Sanders with Kentucky Fried Chicken, an agriculture product. So we're using this reputation that our state already has to aggressively promote our products around the world, because Kentucky's agricultural economy is dependent on international markets. Half the soybeans produced in Kentucky ends up overseas. 1 out of every 4 rows of corn in Kentucky ends up overseas. 80% of the tobacco that we grow ends up overseas. And in an era of uncertainty in international trade, the truth of the matter is this: Kentucky needs international trade, but more importantly, the rest of the world needs Kentucky agriculture. You know, I saw a great example of this just a few weeks ago in June when I led the first of its kind agriculture trade mission to Canada. Organized by the World Trade Center in my office, we visited our neighbors to the north to talk about our strong existing trading relationship. The trade mission was a great success and generously sponsored by Kentucky Farm Bureau, Alltech, the Kentucky Distillers Association, the other KDA, the Kentucky Thoroughbred Association, and Farm Credit of Mid-America. We spent a lot of time talking to agribusiness leaders and political leaders who have existing markets with Kentucky. And as we found out, a lot of them are eager to do more business with the Commonwealth. And with NAFTA 2.0 inching closer and closer, it was important There's no better time than this summer to be up there to have a presence with Kentucky agriculture, because Canada is our top trading partner. They buy 20% of all the agriculture exports that leave our state, about $200 million each year. They buy our horses, they buy our bourbon, our feed, and they buy our culture every day, just like many other countries around the world. And not only do they buy ag products, but they also buy ag equipment manufactured right here in Kentucky. It was in Canada where I spoke with a farmer who had just purchased a set of Martin road cleaners for his corn planter, a device manufactured by a Kentucky farm family in Todd County, Kentucky, found in Canada. And of course, Canada is significant because we have a Kentucky farm girl serving us as the U.S. ambassador to Canada right now, Ambassador Kelly Craft. She and I are optimistic that regardless of the outcome of NAFTA, we are going to continue to maintain and grow our trading partnerships with Canada. And amid all this discussion about trade, it's important to realize that the United States only has trade agreements with 20 countries around the world. These agreements reach only 6% of the countries on our globe and it's just about 20% of the world's GDP, meaning there's opportunity ahead of us, meaning that there's much work to be done to increase market access, and that's exactly what we're going to continue to do as long as I serve as your Commissioner of Agriculture. The KDA will continue to take our sales pitch around the world to help promote and sell what makes Kentucky great. We're working hard to maintain relationships and find new ones like we did last year when Kentucky, not New York, not Florida, not California, but when Kentucky led the way to open up the resumption of trade of live equine to China. After 2 years' worth of work, I was on hand in Beijing, China, with Ambassador Branstad as we signed a new trade protocol allowing Kentucky-proud horses to be sold to the biggest undeveloped horse market in the world. And within 1 month of signing this trade protocol, we had already sent 20 horses to China for racing purposes, not eating. And this is a trade win that will have a multi-million-dollar impact for Kentucky, not only from our thoroughbred trainers, but also the farmers who produce the hay and feed. And it will have a big impact this year because Kentucky already exports 2/3 of all the horses that leave the United States come from Kentucky. And we hope that this trade win sets an example of what else we can do to help promote Kentucky agriculture around the world. And that's an important thing to talk about because there's a lot of room to grow. As Calvin Coolidge once said, human nature benefits the farmers. We're all consumers of food. And he was right. The whole world wants to buy American agricultural goods, not just because we're good, but because we are the best. And behind every agricultural product, there's a common foundation, an individual, a risk taker, an entrepreneur who has worked to produce something that someone else wants. And the farm products raised by our farmers in this room require intelligence and hard work for it to come into existence, where they wear a suit or have mud splattered on their blue jeans. They all do the best that they can. That idea that the dignity of work matters is something that, just like food in the Kentucky State Fair, unites every person in this room. It transcends this room and takes us back to generations long gone and to generations we have yet to meet. So as we leave here today, let's end the Kentucky State Fair on a positive note. Let's remember those values that unite the agriculture community, those values that embody that inscription on our state flag, united we stand, divided we fall. And perhaps we can provide an example that our world and our state so desperately needs right now during a divided time. So thank you for supporting Kentucky agriculture. I hope you enjoy your day at the Kentucky State Fair. Be sure to stop by Ag Land in the South Wing. And remember, if you like to buy Kentucky proud. And if you like to eat like I do, be sure to thank a Kentucky farmer. Thank you so much.